There are frequent discussions around all kinds of D&D forums and tables and everything else, whether rolling for stats or point buy or similar is better. And once and for all, I would like to say that no particular thing is better than having your players decide between you and themselves, with you offering them both and proclaiming what are the benefits and negatives of both, so that they can select an option that they'll be happy with, that they won't go away dissatisfied with afterwards. Many DMs make the mistake of explaining the drawbacks and the situation afterwards, which makes the player feel like they made a critical mistake and will ask for a reroll or something like that. While if you explain this all ahead of time, it will be much better because you'll have a customized experience, and it's worth it to have half an hour of this for characters that will last maybe years than the other way around. So here's what you can share with them. And first, about rolling. If you have rolling, you can have much more generous and tighter rolling than usually what people try to recommend when they pretend to be hardcore with 3d6 or 4d6, discard the weakest down the line. That was something in a different system and closer to what people call mudcore than something that is realistic for highly comfortable, vastly fantastic, high fantasy type of adventure that people frequently expect from D&D. Well, anywhere almost, except in cases of dungeon crawl early editions. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's not fun, but unless you want to be a random peasant that might die from a flu as they cross the road, or when the first rat bites them because they rolled 1 HP. And by the way, this happened to one of my players where they rolled 1 HP, and I noted that I had an experience where a rat, this is a thing, or was a thing in old D&D, especially since you didn't get to roll so much to prevent yourself from dying. Not that it was that deadly either, because you had quite a buffer for something as weak as first level character. You need to go to -10 to be fully dead. But anyways, to have a more successful, well-rounded character that does well both in social occasions and in dungeon delving occasions, you want better prime attributes. As such, you might want to create tighter roll opportunities, and depending on the attributes, you can give them to different types of sets of dice, where some rolls are done in a single d20, but some rolls are done in tightly packed d4s, and another roll is done by having already 6 plus 2d6 or something like that, or plus 3d6 drop the lowest, something like that, or, experiment with your math and use a roller or roll your dice privately before you present all this to players to get a good feeling to what kind of results what will give, and so that you can adjust it towards your type of campaign for the kind of talent that is required, what kind of characters are required, and you should explain that to the players so that they don't feel that they are underwhelming, but rather that the campaign requires this type of character or that type of character, and that they are well within if they roll this or if they roll that. Tell them your expectations, tell them why you made this type of dice array for them, and what would they get out of rolling, which there is a prize for this. You should present that if they're rolling, they are doing it to introduce chaos and challenge to themselves. If they roll low, they'll be challenged to play with a character that had less in life than the others but do just as well. And they should agree to that ahead of rolling once, with no, complaining afterwards, if they want to be such heroic individual that will undertake this on themselves to gamble for this and fully accept that this is what they're in for. On the other hand, the prize, besides the experience that I just described, can be that your rolling values are potentially mathematically slightly higher than what rules you'll have for point buy, which you can also tell them, but don't overemphasize that. Just say this is barely something that you can get few points, 1 or 2 here and there, but you can get them if you're willing to also agree to the other side where you want the challenge of playing a character that had less to begin with. That way, the party is more diverse, you are more unique, but you're also risking it if you don't want to gamble. We do have the utterly safe option, and utterly safe option shouldn't be a very balanced point buy. It should be a very generous point buy where it's not ridiculous, but it's extremely safe. Everything can be built, and you have good rules about people not minimaxing too much, because you want what I call tolerance. You want to have minimums and maximums for stats so that people don't just wantonly dump stat, point pick from one stat and another into a primary 1, 2, or 3 and make all kinds of crazy stuff just to fit their mechanical character sheet. No, just tell them, if you want to play an interesting concept that is severely cut down in one stat, then we have this type of rules. If you want to have more even all-arounder, we have these. If you want to have this type of semi-specialist, we have these. And so on and so forth. So make a detailed, safe rules for point buy, have the previous thing for rolls, explain all of this ahead of anybody picking anything or rolling anything to your players, and tell them that everything has to be done in front of you with dice you approved. Unless you have a party that you already trust that much that they can roll it at home, but don't do it, it's silly. Why burden them with so much unexpected temptation? Even people who never thought about cheating might roll at home and do something silly and not be sure, and then be tempted to just touch one die and tumble it around a little bit, or not sure. Then they'll phone you and ask you, what do you think about this situation where they sort of did and didn't, and one die fell off the table and into their carpet, and then it's sort of on angle and so on. No, have those in front of me when you're available. Once we roll, anything that falls off the table doesn't count, needs to be properly rolled. Let's use a dice tower, whatever you want, as long as it's fair, clean, and you're not presenting the air like you don't trust them because you just want it to be equal and fair for everyone. And that is what you should say. And at that point, you will have perfect, exact stats across the party for what kind of campaign you want, and every player will be happy that they could do it in their favorite way, and they'll be happy for other people in the party because everybody got what they wanted. Nobody is playing what they don't want. Nobody is vastly overshadowing or underplaying what they would want or what others would want. Everything is as it should be. So this is my opinion, but I think it's a pretty good solution to finally settle how you should offer those stats to be roll or point bought. So, DM or adventurer, if you thought this was useful or unique, maybe you can spare me a click and I could see you here next, or perhaps even every week, because every week I have more such things for you. I make them myself. So, I'm M. Welcome to dMTable. Till next time, bye.